The knock and the blizzard, the wind howled like a wild animal. Snow covered everything in sight, and the cold air felt like it could cut through skin. It was the kind of night when no one should be outside. But someone was. John sat in his small, high-tech cabin at the edge of the frozen forest. He had left the war, the cities, and even people behind. Now he lived alone, just him and his machines. Peaceful, quiet, safe. He was reading an old book by the fire when he heard it. Knock. Knock. He froze. The wind was too loud. Maybe he imagined it. Then again, knock. Knock. Someone was at the door. John stood up slowly. No one came here. Not by accident. Not in a storm like this. He picked up his sidearm and walked to the door. The security screen showed nothing. Just white snow. Blinding. Empty. He pressed the door, released. The wind burst in like a living thing, freezing and violent. Snow whipped into the room. And then she collapsed. A figure fell right at his feet. A girl. Young, weak, covered in snow and blood. John acted fast. Instinct took over. He pulled her inside and slammed the door shut. She was freezing cold. Her clothes were torn, her skin pale, her lips blue. She wasn't going to last long. He placed her on the couch and covered her with a thermal blanket. Then he checked her pulse. Alive. Barely. He ran a scan. The results blinked on the screen. Strange. Her DNA was not fully human. John stared at the screen. Half human, half something else. He looked at her again. Her face was soft, with strange markings near her eyes like light tattoos. Her ears were slightly pointed. Her skin had a faint glow. What the hell are you? He whispered. Her eyes opened. Bright, blue, unnatural. She looked at him, scared. She tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. One word came out, please. Then she passed out again. John stared at her, unsure what to do. She was not human. That was clear. Her uniform was from the enemy. The same alien race that had killed thousands in the last war. He should throw her out. Let the cold take her. But he didn't. Something about her didn't feel like a threat. She looked broken, lost, not like a soldier. He walked to his storage and grabbed a medical kit. He began cleaning her wounds. One of them looked like a burn from an energy weapon, fresh. Someone had tried to kill her. Why come here? He asked quietly. Why my door? No answer. Hours passed. The storm outside grew worse. She slept, breathing slowly. Her body slowly warmed. Her hands twitched. She was dreaming. John sat across from her, watching, waiting. He kept his gun close. Then, just before dawn, she woke up again. This time, her voice was a little stronger. You're human? John nodded. Last time I checked. She tried to sit up, but pain stopped her. I ran from them, she said. They're coming. Who? My people. John tensed. You're saying I'm in danger because of you? Yes, she whispered. They'll kill you for helping me. He stared at her for a moment. Then he said, Why were you out there? In a storm like this? I had nowhere else to go, she said. Her voice broke. I didn't know where to hide. I was just trying to disappear. He didn't speak. She looked down, ashamed. I'm not like them. I don't want to be like them anymore. Then what do you want? He asked. She looked into his eyes. I want to help, but I can't do it alone. John leaned back in his chair. He had spent years hiding from the world. And now, trouble had knocked on his door literally. He should send her away. But something inside him said no. Rest, he said finally. We'll talk when you can stand. She closed her eyes again, whispering, Thank you. John stayed awake, listening to the storm and watching the fire. Outside, the snow kept falling, and deep in the woods, something else was watching the cabin. unseen, waiting. Asterisk stranger under his roof, the cabin was quiet. The storm had passed, but silence carried its own kind of danger. John stood by the window, staring into the frozen forest. His breath fogged the glass. Behind him, on the couch, the strange girl slept, half human, half something else. Wrapped in blankets, her body still shivered from the cold. Or from fear. He hadn't slept. Her name was still a mystery, her past even darker. He walked back to her slowly. The fire cracked. Machines hummed softly. He reached out and touched the scanner on her wrist again. The result flashed once more. Genetic match. 52% human, 48% unknown variant. Warning, Class B bioform. Potential threat level, uncertain. John frowned. He had fought creatures like her before, on ruined colonies, on cold moons. Most of them weren't this peaceful, or this human. Suddenly, her eyes opened, bright blue again. Not glowing, but intense. Watching him. Careful. I was dreaming, she whispered. About what? John asked. She looked away. Home. Before the war. He crossed his arms. Where's home? Far from here, she said. Too far to matter now. She tried to sit up. Her body protested, but she forced herself upright. John didn't stop her. He just watched. Finally, she spoke again. My name is Lyra, she said. I was a science officer before everything changed. He raised an eyebrow. Science? You came here with weapons. I didn't want to, she said. I was ordered to observe humans, study you, report your weaknesses, and? He asked. She smiled sadly. I didn't find weakness. I found something else. John didn't answer. He just turned and walked to the small kitchen, poured 2 cups of hot tea, and handed her one. Why come to me? He asked. Why now? I had nowhere else to go, she said. They were going to kill me, my own people. Why? I disobeyed, she said. I started believing in humans. That was enough. She sipped the tea slowly. Her hands trembled. John leaned forward. What are you really doing here? She didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, she pulled a small metal device from under her clothes, smooth, round, and glowing faintly. This holds information, she said, about the invasion, plans, coordinates, dates. John's eyes narrowed. You're saying your people are coming again? They never left, she said. They're just waiting, hidden. John's fingers tightened around his cup. The war was supposed to be over, but it never really ends, does it? And what do you want from me? He asked. I need a way to send this to your leaders, she said, before it's too late. John stood up, pacing slowly. You show up at my door, almost dead. You say you're part of the enemy, but now you're suddenly on our side? You expect me to trust you? Lyra looked him in the eyes. No, I just want you to believe that I had a choice. And I chose to run, to warn you, even if it kills me. John stared at her, then walked to his desk. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small communicator, old, dusty, and half broken. If I let you near this, he said slowly, and you send a signal to them instead of us, Lyra looked hurt, then I deserve whatever comes. A long silence filled the room. John placed the communicator on the table between them. He didn't say a word. Lyra looked at it, then at him. Then she reached forward, but paused. Her hand stopped in the air. I'll wait, she said quietly, until you believe I mean no harm. John didn't expect that. He nodded once, slowly. Good. That night, while she slept again, John stayed awake. He checked the outer cameras. The snow had settled. The storm had passed, but something on the screen made his heart stop. A shadow. A faint shape. Just at the edge of the forest. Not a human, not a wolf. Something else. Watching. Breathing. John slowly reached for his gun again. Whatever was out there wasn't here for peace, and he had a feeling the real storm had just begun. The truth she hid morning arrived with a cold silence. No birds, no machines, just frost on the windows and tension in the air. Lyra stood near the window, wrapped in a blanket, watching the trees. She hadn't said much since the night before. She barely moved, but her eyes, they were searching. John handed her a mug of hot broth. She took it quietly. He studied her. Pale, still weak, but stronger than she looked. You saw something last night, she said without turning. John didn't reply right away. There was something, he said finally. In the forest, not human. Lyra nodded slowly. They found me. You said you escaped, John said. Why are they still chasing you? She sat down, held the mug tight, and stared into the fire. Then she spoke. I wasn't just a science officer, she said. That was only the surface. I was part of a program, a quiet one. Our leaders wanted more than just information. John watched her carefully. Go on. They wanted to break humans from the inside, she said. Not with war. With control, influence, silence. John raised an eyebrow. Mind control? Not that direct, she said. But fear, confusion, division, technology planted. Signals sent, dreams altered, doubt seeded. You're talking psychological warfare, he muttered. Yes, she said, and I was good at it. John's jaw clenched. He looked like he was ready to throw her out again. But, she continued, something happened. I started to admire humans, not your weapons, not your machines, your spirit, your defiance. She looked at him. You don't give up, even when you should, even when you're dying. John didn't answer. I broke orders, she said. I saved people. I erased data. I lied to my own side. And they found out, John said flatly. She nodded. Now I'm a traitor, to them, and maybe to you. John stood up, walking to a drawer. He took out a device, black, worn, and heavy. A military-grade data reader. Give me the core, he said. Lyra hesitated. I don't trust easily, he said. But I need to know what's in that thing before we both die for it. She pulled a small glowing orb from her belt and placed it into his hand. He slotted it into the reader. The screen lit up. A map appeared. Earth, Mars, Luna Base, and multiple outer colonies. Then dates, times, unit codes. Target locations. Then images. Alien fleets. Stealth tech, bioweapons. Human collaborators. John stared. This is an invasion plan, he whispered. They're not just coming. They're already inside, Lyra nodded. The first strike will not come from space. It will come from your own systems, your own cities. He kept scrolling. There was one final file encrypted tighter than the rest. John tapped it. It asked for a code. I don't know that one, Lyra said. Only Command does. I stole what I could before they found me. He closed the device and looked at her. His face was hard. You realize what happens if they get this back? Yes, they'll kill us both. Yes. He looked at the fire, then back at her. You could have gone anywhere. Why my cabin? Lyra smiled faintly. Because you were once their greatest enemy, and the only one they truly feared. John's eyes narrowed. How do you know that? I studied you, she said, before I became what I am. A long silence. Then, crack. A loud snap echoed from outside. John rushed to the window. Footprints in the snow. Deep. Heavy. Not alone. 3 figures. Moving fast. Heading toward the cabin. They're here, Lyra said, standing now. John grabbed a rifle from the wall. How much time do we have? He asked, Minutes, she replied. He handed her a sidearm. Can you use this? She nodded. I remember more than science. He loaded his gun. If we die, he said, you better. Pray someone finds that data. She smiled, calm now. If we die, she said, they'll never forget why. Outside, the snow began to fall again, but this time, it wasn't the cold they had to fear. Asterisk hunters in the storm, the snow fell slower now, gentle, quiet too. Quiet, but John didn't trust quiet anymore. He moved through the cabin like a soldier, fast, calm, focused. Every step had purpose. Every second mattered. Lyra stood near the door, weapon in hand. She wasn't shaking this time. She wasn't running anymore. They'll come from the south, she said. The tree line gives them cover. John didn't. Ask how she knew. He just believed her. He tapped a small button on the wall. Hidden panels clicked open. Defense turrets rose from the snow outside. Silent, cold, ready. You built all this alone? Lyra asked. Didn't plan on guests. He replied. Suddenly the cabin lights flickered. Then died. Darkness. John didn't move. He knew what it meant. They're jamming us, he muttered. Lyra touched her wrist. Her eyes narrowed. They've sent a phantom unit. What's that? Scouts, she said. Fast, silent, half machine. They hunt targets like me. Like me. Not like us. But John knew better. He was a target now, too. He moved to a wall locker and grabbed 2 headsets. He tossed one to Lyra. Stay in comms, he said. If we get split, head east. Signal flare at the ridge. She nodded. They stepped outside. The snow crunched under their boots, too loud. Every sound felt dangerous now. The trees ahead stood tall and black, like soldiers watching them. Then, from the shadows, a shape moved. Too fast. Too smooth. John raised his rifle. Contact. 10 o'clock. The thing was tall, wrapped in dark. Armor that shimmered like ice. Its limbs bent the wrong way. Its eyes glowed orange. Not human. Not even close. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. It ran straight toward them. John fired. The turret beside him whirred to life, sentry mode, blasting a line of plasma into the trees. The shape vanished into smoke. Gone. But not alone. 2 more dropped from the trees, landing. Silently in the snow. Lyra fired. Her aim was sharp, controlled. One scout took a shot to the chest. Sparks flew. Metal shattered, but it kept moving. They didn't feel pain. Didn't stop. John yelled, fall back. They ran behind a snowbank, ducking as energy bolts hissed through the air. Why aren't they killing us? He shouted. They want the data core, Lyra said. They'll try to take us alive first. Well, that's comforting, John muttered. Suddenly, his earpiece crackled. A voice. Static. Double quotes. His earpiece crackled. A voice. Static. Double quotes. Jungprimden. This is Commander Voss. Stand down. Extraction incoming. John froze. That voice, from his past. Voss? He said. Is that really you? Confirmed, the voice said. Sending coordinates. Don't trust the girl. She's manipulating. You? John looked at Lyra. She was breathing hard. Bleeding now from her shoulder. She looked back at him. What is it? She asked. He didn't answer. A part of him wanted to believe Voss. The man had once saved his life. But something felt off. Too late. Too perfect. John, the voice said again. Stand down or be terminated with her. Now he knew. That's not Voss, John whispered. That's them. They cloned his voice. Lyra's eyes widened. They're not just watching. They're listening. John turned off the COMMs. Then, without warning, a drone dropped from above, no bigger than a dinner plate. It zipped past, scanning fast. EMP drone. Lyra shouted. John tackled her down just as the drone exploded mid-air. A silent flash. His ears rang. His HUD blinked off. His rifle died in his hands. Systems down. Old school now. He drew his sidearm. Go, he said. I'll cover you. I'm not leaving, Lyra said. You have to. I'm done running. The scout returned, the first one, its cloak broken, sparks jumping from its damaged limbs. It leaped. John fired. Once, twice. Then, Lyra stepped in front, aimed carefully, and shot the thing straight through its neck. It collapsed into the snow. Twitching. Dead. John looked at her. You said you were a science officer. She breathed hard. Yeah, I learned quickly. More shadows moved in the distance. Too many. They had to leave. Now. They ran. Through the snow. Past the dead machines. Through trees older than memory. And behind them, something watched from above. A black ship. Silent. Sleek. No lights. No sound. It drifted like a ghost through the storm clouds, tracking them. Waiting. Betrayal and blood. The cabin was gone now. Burned. Broken. Left behind in smoke and silence. John and Lyra moved through the frozen woods, slow and quiet. Hours had passed since the attack. Blood stained John's sleeve. Lyra's steps were weak, but she didn't complain. They found shelter in an old Cums outpost, half buried under ice. Rust on the walls, silence in the halls. Power was gone, but it was dry. Safe, for now. John sealed the doors and checked his weapon. No ammo left. Lyra sat near a broken console, breathing hard. She was fading. I'm fine, she said quickly, seeing his worried eyes. You're not, he replied. You're bleeding inside. She looked away. Not the first time. John took out the data core. It still glowed softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. We need to send this out, he said. There's a relay tower 5 miles from here. Still active. I saw it on my drone last week. You think it'll reach your people? She asked. I think we don't have another choice. Then, a noise, metal, movement. Someone inside. John raised his weapon. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Then a voice spoke, warm, confident, familiar. Well, looks like I'm not too late after all. John froze. He knew that voice. Commander Voss. John turned slowly, and there he was, standing in the doorway, older, sharper, but alive. Wearing black combat armor, clean, too clean for someone in a war zone. Lyra stepped back, her hand near her sidearm. Easy, Voss said, raising both hands. I'm not here to fight. John didn't lower his weapon. You're supposed to be dead, Voss smiled. They say that about a lot of us, don't they? Lyra spoke quietly. He's not alone. I can smell the signal tech. Someone's jamming us again. Voss raised an eyebrow. Still sharp, alien girl. John stepped between them. Why are you here? I'm here to help you finish this, Voss said. I know about the data. I know what's coming. HQ sent me in after. Your beacon was triggered. I didn't send any beacon, John said coldly. Voss paused, then laughed. Guess I just have good timing. Lyra whispered, he's lying. John already knew. I don't believe in good timing anymore, John said. You didn't come to help. You came to collect her. Voss sighed. All right then. No games. He tapped his wrist. Suddenly, 2 armored soldiers stepped into the room. Not aliens, humans, fully geared. Guns ready. Lyra stepped back, cornered now. You're working with them, John said. Not working, Voss replied. Surviving. We lost the war, John. You just don't know it yet. John stared at him, eyes cold. Why help them? He asked. Voss looked almost tired. Because they're not just invading. They're replacing us. Quietly, smartly, I joined early. Stayed useful. They let me live. He pointed at Lyra. But she betrayed both sides, and you're helping her. That makes you a target. John looked at the data core in his hand. I'm not giving this to you, Voss smiled. I figured you'd say that. He snapped his fingers. One of the soldiers moved forward, fast, but not fast enough. John fired one last bullet, straight into the soldier's chest. The second man shot. John took the hit in his arm and went down hard. Lyra moved like a shadow, leapt forward, slamming her knee into the second guard's throat. He fell. Voss pulled a blade, clean, sharp, and charged. But John, bleeding, still had fight left. He met Voss with a punch. The two men crashed into the wall. Old friends, now enemies. I looked up to you. John growled, choking him against the panel. You still can, Voss smirked. Just kneel. Lyra yelled, John! Behind you! The second guard, barely alive, raised his gun. But Lyra didn't wait. She grabbed John's knife from the floor and threw it, perfect aim, straight into the guard's eye. He dropped. Finally still. John turned back. Voss had escaped. Smoke bomb dropped, vanishing into the hallway. Coward. John fell to one knee, breathing hard. Lyra knelt beside him, tearing part of her coat to wrap his bleeding arm. You saved me, she whispered. You saved me first, he said. Then he looked at the data core again. We're running out of time. Lyra helped him up. The betrayal was over. Now came the real war. The last stand begins. Snow fell harder now. But John didn't feel it anymore. His left arm was wrapped in blood-soaked cloth. Every step hurt. But he didn't stop. Lyra walked beside him, quiet but focused. Her face was pale, her shoulder wounded, but her grip on the data core was steady. They were almost there. Ahead of them, through the trees, a tower stood like a skeleton, old and thin, reaching into gray skies. Rust covered the legs. Broken antennas stuck out like bent fingers. The relay tower. Their last chance. John checked his scanner. Still active. Weak signal, but enough to push the data. Lyra nodded. Then we send it and pray someone listens. They reached the base of the tower. A steel hatch waited at the bottom. John forced it open. Inside was darkness, metal stairs, and the cold breath of forgotten machines. They entered. Each step echoed like a countdown. Up, higher into the tower, until they reached the top room, small, round, filled with old consoles and blinking lights, still alive, still working. Barely. Lyra plugged in the core. The console flickered. A green bar began crawling across the screen. Uploading, she whispered. But it's slow. John turned toward the window. The forest stretched below. Silent, too silent. I don't trust this calm, he said. Neither did she. Then, a sound. Distant. A hum. Growing louder. John grabbed his binoculars. And cursed under his breath. Dropship, he said. One of theirs. Black, sleek, heading straight for the tower. They found us, Lyra said. John looked at the upload bar. Only 42%. We don't have time, he said. They'll destroy this place. I can stay, she said. You run. I'll finish the upload. He looked at her. Double quotes. No, we stay together. We finish this together, she smiled. Then, we fight. He opened a case by the wall. Emergency weapons. Old, dusty, but working. He tossed her a shock rifle. Kept a pulse grenade for himself. The ship landed hard near the tower. Snow exploded into the air. Figures stepped out. Not aliens this time, humans. But their eyes glowed faint orange. Clones. Controlled. They moved like machines. 5, then 7, then 10. Surrounding the tower, John placed traps at the stairwell entrance. Lyra covered the console with her body, watching the upload bar inch forward. Then, the first soldier entered. Boom. The trap exploded. Metal flew. The wall shook. But more came. John fired. The fight began. It wasn't elegant. It was desperate. Shot after shot. Grenade. Smoke. Sparks. Lyra fought like someone with nothing left to lose. No fear. No doubt. She protected that console like it was her own heart. John moved like a ghost, bleeding, limping, but deadly. But still, there were too many. John was pushed back. A soldier grabbed him, slammed him into the wall. Gun flew from his hand. The soldier raised a blade. Then, a shot. From behind. Lyra. She didn't miss. The soldier dropped. John looked at her, chest rising fast. Thanks. You'd do the same, she said. Then, a sound they both feared. Beep. Beeped out the core. Corrupted sector. Upload error. No, Lyra whispered. No. John rushed to the console. We're out of time. She stared at the screen, then slowly unplugged the core and took it in her hands. I can fix this, she said, but not here. What do you mean? She looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly now. The core responds to neural input, she said. If I link directly, I can force the data through. You'll fry yourself, John said. She smiled softly. Maybe, but if I don't, Earth won't know what's coming. She placed the core on her chest and pressed her fingers to the side. Light sparked. The machine screamed. Lyra's body shook. Lyra. Don't stop me, she said through gritted teeth. The console lit up like a star. Upload complete. Data transmitted. John caught her as she collapsed. She looked up at him, weak, her skin fading. Light leaving her eyes. I did it, she whispered. You did, he said. You were worth saving, she said softly. Humans are worth saving. John held her close. She smiled one last time, then was still. Outside, the dropship retreated. Inside, John knelt in silence, holding the girl who was once the enemy, now a hero. She died a human. The tower stood like a broken tooth in the frozen sky. Inside, John knelt in the quiet. Lyra's body lay still in his arms, the glow in her skin slowly fading, as if the stars inside her were going out one by one. No more gunfire. No more running. Just the cold and the weight of everything that had just happened. John stared at her face. Peaceful now. No fear, no pain. Only stillness. She had saved them. Not just him. Not just Earth. Everyone. And she wasn't even fully human. But in the end, she had chosen to die like one. He buried her on the ridge, the highest point above the forest, where the sky stretched wide and silent. He marked the grave with a simple metal plate from her armor. No name, just a symbol, a small line crossed by another, the symbol for change in the old war codes. He stood for a long time in the snow, looking at it. Wind blew through the trees. No sound came from above. She was really gone. 3 days passed. John wandered through the wild again. He followed emergency beacons, fought off one last patrol. He didn't care much anymore if he lived or died, until a voice came through his old COM device, crackling, weak, but real. This is Earth Command. We received your data. Confirm. John Mercer, is that you? John stopped walking. He pulled the device close. Yeah, he said quietly. It's me. Your message saved lives. Multiple bases evacuated. Moon defense shield activated. You bought us time. Maybe more. John said nothing. We need you to come in. Debrief. You're a hero, John. He looked at the snow around him, the trees, the ridge where she was buried. I'm not the hero, he whispered. Weeks passed. The invasion never came. Not yet. Thanks to Lyra. Earth now knew the truth about the spies, the quiet war, the fake. Peace. The skies stayed clear. But John knew the enemy was still out there. Waiting. Watching. Planning. Then one morning, a knock. Not at a door, but at the metal hatch of a bunker where John had chosen to hide again. He opened it with a gun in his hand. But the person outside wasn't the enemy. It was a young girl, maybe 17, with pale skin and soft blue eyes. She held something wrapped in cloth. "I think this is yours," she said, holding it out. John slowly unwrapped it. The data core. Repaired. Reactivated. His hand shook. "Where did you get this?" he asked. The girl smiled. "Someone sent it through a satellite path with this message." She handed him a small device. A message began to play. Lyra's voice. "If you're hearing this, it means I found a way to split the core, one part to Earth, one hidden, just in case. John, I know I won't love long after this. But if even one person hears this truth, it was worth it. We may not share blood, but I learned what humanity truly means by watching you." John swallowed hard. He couldn't speak. The girl continued. "She called herself a mistake, but she saved us. My parents were at the Mars hub. They're alive because of her." John looked at the core again. He felt something inside him shift, like ice cracking after a long winter. Maybe he wasn't just a soldier anymore. Maybe he was the last person who could carry her story forward. He nodded slowly. "Come inside," he told the girl. The door closed behind them. And high above Earth, in the cold, black silence of space, a fleet hovered in the dark, engines silent, weapons cold, waiting, delayed, watching. For now,